In this video, we're going to configure a Fabric workspace with access restricted to a private Azure Virtual Network using Workspace-scoped Private Link. This is a workshop-style video that walks through the solution end to end. I'm skipping nothing, so if you don't want to go through the entire configuration, that's okay. Just use the chapter markers in the timeline and skip forward to what you really want to learn about. So let's start by discussing what Private Link is, why we use it, and what are some alternatives we might consider instead. So Microsoft Fabric is a data and analytics platform, and of course that means there's usually data in Fabric that's restricted only to authorized users. Fabric is a zero-trust SaaS platform. It's similar to Microsoft 365, and it provides strong protection for the data it hosts. Data is encrypted at rest and in flight, and only authorized users can access Fabric workspaces, and of course the data they contain. To strengthen the zero-trust SaaS security that Microsoft Fabric provides out of the box, organizations can add additional layers of access control and network isolation. The most effective option is Microsoft Entra Conditional Access, which helps ensure that Fabric is accessible only to authorized users on compliant devices and from approved locations or network conditions. Another option is configuring Workspace IP firewall rules, which can restrict workspace access only from trusted public IP addresses. And yet another option is Private Link, which provides a layer of network isolation by ensuring traffic accessing Fabric flows through Azure Virtual Networks and private endpoints. Private Link can be configured at the tenant level for broad protection, or at the workspace level if you need to secure only highly sensitive workspaces without placing every workspace behind a private link. This video is a walkthrough of building a Fabric tenant that has a Private Link protected workspace with Lakehouse data and a non-Private Link workspace with a semantic model and Power BI reports. In the Power BI workspace, users can access reports either from the Azure Virtual Network or from other networks, but when the semantic models are refreshed, Fabric Workspace, the public one, can use the private network to access the Lakehouse data in the restricted workspace. So let's look at the end state in a diagram. We'll create two workspaces, one restricted to connections from the Azure Virtual Network via a private endpoint, and the second workspace where users can access Power BI reports from other networks. Within the virtual network, we'll create 4 subnets, one for the private link, one for a virtual network data gateway. The reporting workspace will use this to access restricted data during semantic model refresh. And because I won't be able to access the restricted workspace from my network after I configure private link, I'll also deploy a JumpBox virtual machine within the virtual network subnet that I can remote into for testing and configuration of the restricted workspace. And the last subnet is for the Azure Bastion service, which will give me the ability to use a web-based RDP connection to the VM because it doesn't accept internet connections. All right, let's jump in and get started. First, we'll enable the Fabric tenant setting to allow workspace-level inbound networking rules. This can take a few minutes to kick in, so we'll do this now so it's applied by the time we need to configure Fabric later. So we'll go into the admin portal tenant setting and search for advanced, open up the configure workspace level inbound network rules, change the setting to enable, and click apply. Now this is going to allow us to configure the restricted workspace with a private link. And next I'm going to create the 2 workspaces used in the pattern. The first workspace we'll call restricted Lakehouse workspace. I'll give it a name, description, assign a capacity, and click create. This is the workspace we'll eventually configure for access only from the private VNet, which we'll create in a moment. I'll call the second workspace Open Semantic Model Workspace. This workspace won't be configured with a private link, but will instead be protected by the Fabric security infrastructure. When the semantic model refreshes, it will connect to the restricted workspace through a virtual network data gateway. So let me make some quick notes in the workspace IDs for the 2 workspaces I created because I'll probably need them later. And okay, now let's head over to Azure to create the VNet, the subnets, the private link, and the private endpoint that we'll use to control network access to the restricted workspace. First, I'll create a resource group as a container for all the resources in this solution. Okay, let's open up the empty resource group, and then we'll create a virtual network, which is the private network used to connect to the restricted workspace data. So let's pause a minute and talk about how we'll subnet this VNet. The overall address space for the VNet will be the CIDR subnet 10.70.00/16. Within the VNet, the VM JumpBox will have a dedicated subnet, as will the Bastion service. And then there are 2 subnets that enable the private link feature for our workspace. The first is the private endpoint subnet that holds the 5 IP addresses that connect to various Fabric services. The second is the data gateway subnet This subnet will host a virtual network data gateway that the unrestricted workspace semantic model will use to connect privately to the restricted Lakehouse data when refreshing the semantic model. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. If it was, hang in there. It'll become more clear as we create and configure everything. Let's finish creating the virtual network. I'll give it a name, VNet Fabric Private 0. When we get to the IP addresses tab, I'll modify the address space to 10.70.00/16, and we'll be creating 4 subnets that I just talked about. And as we create the virtual network, I'll create the initial subnet. It asks you to create the first one. So I'll use that one as the JumpBox VM, giving it the name of snet-vm. I'll use the values from the table that we covered earlier, and then let's tap Save to create the virtual network. Once the VNet is created, we need to add the additional subnets from the slide that I showed you earlier. I'll just speed up this up as I go through the private link subnet, the gateway subnet, the bastion subnet. Oh, and I just realized I missed a step. The gateway subnet needs to have a Power Platform delegation. So let me just update the gateway subnet with that and hit save it and save it. Okay, 2 small pieces of housekeeping we need to do. The Azure subscription needs to have a couple resource providers registered. The first one is Microsoft.Fabric, and my subscription shows this as registered, but I'm going to go ahead and click re-register just in case. And the second one is the Power Platform resource provider, which isn't registered yet, so I'll do that now. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create a private link resource in our resource group. So this will be a custom resource creation, which I'll create using an ARM template, which is just a JSON object. So I'm going to start with this boilerplate JSON, which you can find in the runbook in my blog linked below. I'll just update it with a custom name, the Fabric Workspace ID, which you can get from the URL of the restricted workspace, and the Fabric tenant ID, which you can get from the Fabric Help About screen. Okay, now that I have that data collected, I'll copy the JSON to my clipboard. Then we'll head back to the resource group and create a new template deployment. We'll select build your own template in the editor, paste in the JSON that we just edited, and hit save. So this template will be a hidden item in the resource group, but if you want to check it, if you click show hidden types from the manage view menu, you can see it. Okay, next let's create the private endpoint, which will be built using the private link resource we just created. So in the resource group, again, we'll click create, then choose private endpoint. We'll give it a name. We'll set the resource type to private link services for Fabric, and then select the private link we just created as the resource. Then on the virtual network page, select the subnet we created for the private link. Leave the DNS set to integrate with DNS zone, and complete the wizard and wait for the private endpoint to deploy. Okay, now at this point, all of the Azure configuration we need to use the private link is complete. So we created the virtual network, the subnets, we created the private link definition, and then we created a private endpoint using that definition. So the next stop is to create the JumpBox VM. Assume if you're watching this kind of video, you've created VMs before, so I'm just going to speed through this step, but you can slow down the video if you want to study these steps in more detail. Well, I am going to pause just for a moment to point out that the JumpBox is connected to the VM subnet of the virtual network. That's one of the subnets we created, and it has no public inbound ports. So because it has no inbound public ports, I need to connect it to it using Bastion, so that this will all tie together at the end. Okay, now I'll just let the VM deploy, and once deployed, I'll select the option to connect it to it via Bastion. It'll take a few minutes for the Bastion service to be created the first time, but then finally I'll be able to use my username and password to log into the JumpBox. Now, once on the JumpBox, we need to make sure that the private link DNS has been created and can be resolved from another machine in the virtual network. We can test this using NSLOOKUP with the Workspace API endpoint from the JumpBox. And the test succeeded because I can see that the Workspace private link endpoint resolved to the 10.7.2 subnet within the virtual network. So that's great. Let's go back to Fabric and wrap this up. So first, let's go ahead and restrict the Lakehouse workspace to the private link. I'll open the restricted workspace, go into the workspace settings, select inbound networking, and change the setting from all connections to workspace level private links, and then press apply. So this change does take some time to be implemented. It's kind of running in the background. The message says up to 30 minutes. Doesn't usually take that long, but I'm going to pause and come back when the change is complete so we can test it. Okay, it's been 10 to 15 minutes. It looks like the private link change is rolled out, so let's see how it works. So from the JumpBox, which is within the private network, I can still open a notebook in the open workspace, and I'd expect that. Now the question is, can I open a notebook in the restricted web space? And again, yeah, no problem. I don't see a difference from the JumpBox. The JumpBox is in the private network with the private link, no problem. Now let's look at access from my local workstation, which is not on the same private network. So I'm in a Fabric tenant admin, so I can see that the restricted workspace exists, but when I click into it, I have no access to it. I can't list the contents, and I certainly can't get to the data. Okay, this video is kind of long, so I didn't record this part, but I did create and populate a lakehouse in the restricted workspace. From the JumpBox, I can see the tables in the lakehouse. I can interact with them normally. Everything looks good. But what I want to do is create a semantic model and reports in the reporting workspace, which has no path to connect to the private network. So we'll address this by using a virtual network data gateway, which will allow the semantic model to connect to the Lakehouse SQL endpoint in the restricted workspace through the private network. Now to do this, I'll go to the Fabric settings menu and choose Manage Connections and Gateways. From the Virtual Network Data Gateways tab, I'll click a link to create my first gateway. And in the configuration screen, I just have to choose the capacity I use for the compute, the Azure subscription, the resource group, and the virtual network and subnet we created for the gateway to use. So all this is pretty much already done. We're just picking from the list at this point. Now recall that we created the subnet specifically for the gateway to use for this network connection in the restricted workspace. And it was actually the only one that was eligible to be picked, so we picked it. And then we want to hit the save button and wait for the gateway to spin up. Okay, great. All the configuration is done. Now we'll kind of bring it home and create the semantic model and the report. One limitation as of this recording with private links is that we can't create semantic models or reports in private link protected workspaces. This may change in the future, so if you're seeing this in the future, check the link at the top right to see which items are supported in private link workspaces. But for now, let's try. Let's try to create a semantic model in the restricted workspace, the one that's connected to the private endpoint. Note the error that security settings don't allow semantic models. But we can create reports in the reporting workspace without hosting the Lakehouse data there. So let's switch to the reporting Lakehouse and we'll create a new semantic model. Now here we need to provide the endpoint and database from the restricted workspace SQL Analytics endpoint. And note the endpoint uses a customized format. Most of the endpoint is the same as you're used to, but you need to remove the https:// from the beginning, and then insert the small segment in the middle that refers to the workspace. And the reason we have to do this is because because this is the DNS name that was created in the Azure side when we created the private link. With that, we can continue as with any semantic model design. The biggest difference is that the reporting workspace will use the virtual network data gateway for data refresh. We don't really notice that once we've configured this, but if you remember, we did choose that gateway as the path to the data. So then every time the semantic model refreshes, it'll use that private path, so it won't go over public IPs or in any other network. And so we can check this to see if we can access the data now that it's built, and we can see the data and we can bring some of it onto a report surface. And to make it more visual, I'll go back and have Power BI build a default dashboard. It'll be more visually appealing. So, okay, that was a long one. We did quite a lot in this video. We created a VNet with 4 subnets. One subnet was for the private link, and we used that to restrict network access to the workspace. One subnet was for the gateway that gave unrestricted workspaces a path to refresh the data to the workspace. And then 2 subnets were created for my JumpBox VM and Bastion so that I could use that for diagnostics. The last 2 subnets in the VM and Bastion are not necessary if you already are connected to that private network, but since I wasn't, I needed that for testing. So then we configured Fabric to restrict the workspace to the private link. We tested it to make sure that it worked. And then finally, we consumed the data in a restricted Lakehouse in a semantic model and report that was not in the same restricted Lakehouse. And it got that data from for the refresh from the data gateway. So remember that this is just one tool in your toolbox for securing data in Microsoft Fabric. The most important tool is Fabric's built-in zero trust security infrastructure. To provide an additional layer of security and control, you can use Entra conditional access that will ensure that Fabric is accessible only to authorized users on compliant devices and from approved locations or network conditions. And at the lowest level, private links like we configured in this tutorial provide network isolation with the trade-off of complexity and some feature limitations. Okay, I hope you learned something in the video. If you made it this far, you probably liked it, so hit the like button. Let YouTube know that others may find it interesting too. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I read them all. I try to answer them. I'll see you next time.